Kids, good morning. It's Laoshi Lawrence McElroy for Water Tiger School of Tai Chi Chuan. Another Facebook Live session that almost didn't happen, thanks to, oh, I don't know whom. Could it be Facebook changing stuff again? So, anyway, they've moved things again without announcing it. And I had to sort of fudge to get to live. And then about 20 seconds before we went live, the picture disappeared. So I had to reboot the live session. But here we are. Yay! So welcome to our almost always weekly Facebook Live session for, of course, the greater community and these interesting times in which we find ourselves. I'll say something about that in a moment if I remember. And then, of course, also, however, because used to be back, I don't know, what's it been, 20 years ago, we had a public class at 10 a.m. on Monday mornings at Sachem Public Library on the Isle of Length in the state of New York in the United States of America. But anyway, the thing about the interesting, in the interesting times in which we find ourselves, a lot of times people will say that may you live in interesting times is a Chinese curse. Unfortunately, the only reason it is a Chinese curse is because way back, I believe it was the 1800s, I may have already talked about this in one of these live sessions, and his name escapes me. He was an American diplomat in China, wrote a book about living in China, and he included that in his book and identified it as a Chinese curse. Until that time, it had never existed as a Chinese curse. So anyway, but these times, they are interesting. So let's see what we can do to relieve some stress this morning. We are going to just do a little shakeout and then spend some time with some Tai Chi Qigong exercises that we seldom, if ever, do. A couple of them have probably never been seen in Water Tiger's public offerings. The stretch that we're going to do the Tai Chi Qigong stretch, but a version that we don't normally do. That's why when we refer to the stretch, we call it the Tai Chi Qigong stretch basic. So this is the full Tai Chi Qigong stretch. It's a little bit more strenuous than the regular, so be careful with that. You may want to keep to the regular. The first of the two stationary Tai Chi Qigong exercises we're going to do, which is arcing the arms or embracing the moon to the chest, on the chest, sorry. That one's not too terribly tough. The second exercise is called Holding Up the Heavens, and that is very, very intense and very strenuous. So judge for yourself. Be careful. Warning, Will Robinson, and if you're not feeling, if you're ill in any way, if you're feeling weak this morning, probably shouldn't do Holding Up the Heavens. But anyway, so there you go. Let's see what else is going on. I may, FYI, still might be able to do a live session from elsewhere, but I may be unavailable the first Monday in October. I'll know more about that probably as this week unfolds and we get to next Monday. I have an opportunity that I might explore that will take me away. And that's also part of why it may not take me away if where I have to go is on New York State's quarantine list, because I ain't coming back from a possible opportunity and having to stay at home all by my lonesome, quarantine away from my wife and my cats, just for a possible opportunity. So anyway, without further ado, oh, by the way, we are deep in our 15 t-shirt, I think it's 15 t-shirt collection from World Tai Chi Day. This is the 2009, and notice 10th anniversary across the top. World Tai Chi Day began actually in 1998, but it wasn't World Tai Chi Day. It was just a single event in Kansas City. And then after Bill Douglas hosted that particular event in 1998, a bunch of people said, hey, you should take this worldwide. So in 1999, that little local event became the first World Tai Chi Day. By the by, Water Tiger participated in its first World Tai Chi Day in Des Moines, Iowa in 2000. So, and the only year we've missed is, I don't know, could it possibly be 2020? But yeah, we did do a live session that morning. So anyway, without further ado, I see maybe somebody's with me. I'll do a little shake. Now the Tai Chi Qigong stretch is just that. It is a stretch. But the idea with that stretch is it's very focused in the torso, the Sanjiao, the triple burner. Section of the body from here to here. It's known as the triple burner because pathways of energy, the organs in the torso are related to three processes: respiration, digestion, and elimination. So there are some caveats with it as well, without even the more advanced version. I'll map the more advanced version out for you as well before we do it, and then get into the other two exercises. Introduce them a little bit more, why they're considered what's known as Wei-Dan instead of Nei-Dan exercises, and what exactly, well, what that means from a Water Tiger School perspective. So let's start with the feet shoulder wide. Remember our shoulder width. This is important for the first stretch and for the second exercise. Where the drop of the shoulder is, both sides, split the heel in half, both sides. Feet should be parallel. Shake stuff out. I hope y'all had a marvelous International Talk Like a Pirate Day on Saturday. Yes, scallywags. I did. Okay, so some things about the Tai Chi Qigong stretch. Just the basic stretch part of it. One of the things we're going to do is as the hands go up, and this happens actually twice now with the balls of the feet when you do the full stretch. When you raise up on the balls of your feet at the beginning of the stretch as the hands are going up, and notice they're in the front plane of the body, that you're not actually raising the height of the body. See what happens? Right, so as I settle the weight into the balls of the feet, and by the way, right now, my heels are still sort of touching the pattern on my exercise mats here, but all my weight's in the balls of my feet. That's all you need. The heels don't have to rise at all. But if your heels do start to come up, should be no change of height with how high the hips and the shoulders come from the mat. So that doesn't change. 2, there is a point within this stretch where we twist to the left and to the right above the hips. So the hips will not be moving. We will be taking the shoulders out of alignment with the hips. Danger, 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 warning, Will Robinson. When we do that, when we twist the torso, when we feel the separation between the upper body and the lower body, that puts spiral pressure on this band around the belly, around the lower back. So if you have issues with the belly, abdominal cavity, say for instance, you're relatively fresh into the insertion of an abdominal mesh, or you have lower back issues, ruptured discs, things like that, be very, very, very careful with how far you twist. You really don't have to twist that much and still get a pretty good internal stretch that we want simply by doing it isometrically, like you are, I'm going to use the T word here, trying to twist, right? But what would it feel like if I was twisting to my left, wanting to twist to my left, and somebody was standing here and putting their hand on my shoulder? I'd be pressing against it, creating the same sort of twisting, internal twisting feeling. I'm going to move a little bit closer to the camera, cut off my head for a moment, tuck my t-shirt in, and see if I twist and turn my hips, there's not a lot of change in the front of the t-shirt. But if I keep my hips still and twist, you can start to see the striations start to form in the wrinkles of the t-shirt. That's what we want inside. That twist creates a twisting extension on the outside of the twist, a twisting compression on the inside of the twist, and you're massaging the Sangio, the triple burn, helping create a better flow of qi and blood within the area that is responsible for respiration, digestion, and elimination. So I saw a version of this in what I considered a really, did I mention really bad Tai Chi instructional video. And no, I won't tell you the person's name. But I did steal this joke. He said, you know, everybody, and it was a stretch like this, and he said, everybody should start the day with freshly squeezed organs. So there's two. One, don't change your height as you settle the weight into the balls of the feet. Two, be careful when you take the shoulders out of alignment with the hips, but don't just turn the hips. Keep this still. Left hip should stay to the left, right hip should stay to the right as you twist the torso. So your hips are still there as your shoulders are going that way, and vice versa, the other side. And three, once our hands get into this position and see the roundness, and we twist, that shouldn't change. Right? I'm not going to get my head, my arms closer to one side of my head or the other. And the next thing, when we arc, again, this doesn't happen. The hands stay in that position, and ideally the head. I have a tendency to tilt my head a little bit farther than I should when I do this. I'm working on that. I actually didn't notice until I started doing these videos. So those are the three basics for the basic stretch. What the difference is in this stretch is normally we twist to one side, we come through the center, we twist to the other, we create an arc on one side, we come up, create an arc on the other side. The hands go down, and we bounce into our next repetition. Here, the hands go down after the one round, and we follow them down. And then we come back up, and I'm on the balls of my feet. My hands are on my thighs. And then heels drop down, and we go to round two. So here, down, following the hands down, and different people in squatting, rolling to the balls of the feet, coming up. Some people do the elbows here. I like the hands on the thighs, and then into round two. So this is the Tai Chi Qigong stretch, full. Breathe, relax, and release. Working primarily on the Sangio, but you're getting some leg action here, you're getting some squat action here, so you're getting the heart and the lungs going a little bit. Plus, when the legs are active, when they're activated, as they relax when you come back up, the qi that's generated from that activation starts to spread throughout the open torso, the Sangio, above. So you're firing up the Sangio. 3 repetitions, 3 rounds. Breathe when you have to. I'll suggest a breath pattern. As we get going, first time I'm just going to talk about the physicality. The Tai Chi Qigong stretch, full, or officially, traditionally, this is the Tai Chi Qigong stretch. We do a non-traditional, abbreviated version in most times. By the way, not only in the public classes, we seldom do the full stretch in the studio classes, which overall are going pretty well right now, by the way, with the sort of split between most of the students being back on the mat and some still hanging out remotely. Breathe when you have to. Hands, palms up. Fingers are interlocked to the backs of the hands. Wrists rotate when they have to, and as they continue to rise, this is where you settle the weight into the balls of the feet. Heels may or may not come up off the ground. Holding that moment, then redistribute the weight. Ball and step heel, not rocking back to the heels. The feet are now 3 nail points on the ground. First direction, twist, above the hips. No turn in the hips. Left hip to the left, right hip to the right. If you reach a range of motion before me, that's fine. Hang out, enjoy the stretch. When I do this stretch on my own, I get to my range of motion and I'm there for a few beats, but I don't hang out there when I'm leading it in this kind of situation. Arcing, face, torso fully forward, not losing that framing of my head in my arms, around in between my arms, up. So before it was a spiral stretch, expanding on the outside, compressing on the inside. Now it's a vertical compression and extension. Up, and here's the new part. Coming down, following the hands down, starting as kind of a forward fold, and then as the hands get to the knees, start to bend the knees. Roll onto the balls of the feet, heels up off the ground, and hang out. And then up. Maybe an inhalation. Maybe an exhalation, settling the weight into the balls of the feet. This is round 2. Maybe an inhale. Maybe an exhale on the twist. Hips stay still. One side of my basement. Inhale. There's the opposite side of my basement. Front. And no, we're not taking a tour. Arc. Exhale, possibly. Upright. We've got an inhale. Exhale. Opposite. Inhale. Upright. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Oops. Lost the balls of my feet. Inhale. That was 2. Exhale. If you need to breathe more often, by all means do so. Inhale. I'm just suggesting the breath pattern. Exhale. Inhale. This is third and final round of the Tai Chi Qigong stretch. Full. Exhale. Or traditionally, just what's known as the Tai Chi Qigong stretch. Inhale. There's that arc, face, torso fully forward, not twisting into this at all. Staying in the plane of the body. I'm also not turning into the front or turning back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhalation. Inhalation. Exhalation. Inhale. Exhale. A moment. And close. Breathe when you have to. Left foot to right. Step over the top of the ball, crown point, head, base, pelvic bowl, ball of the foot. In. And down. And there you go. Something familiar to some, but even in that familiarity, there's some changes. I just realized I didn't set up my side light here, so I'm a little shadowy this morning. Although some might say that I'm shadowy all the time. So there's one of 3 things. 2, that arcing the arms, embracing the moon on the chest. So we do a position sort of like this one. A few times, it's a single leg stance. So lower body is relatively easy. When it comes to the switching of the feet, you want to be as little disruption as possible. It's recommended to do this 3 minutes per side. We ain't going to do that. We'll see how I feel, maybe a minute and a half. I'll get hopefully I'll remember to grab the iPhone for the time. But back foot at around a 45, crown point head, base of the pelvic bowl, ball of the right foot. The other foot, the knee is slightly open. There's really no weight on that foot, just the ball, just the toes of the foot touching down. All right, this is false stance, single leg stance. You might recognize it as looking like white crane, or if it was the heel, pei paw. You might recognize it as looking what we look like when we do leg bounce, the 9 temple exercises, etc. So that's the lower body. The upper body, that's where you embrace the moon to the chest. All right, so holding something, the ball, the moon, the tree, horizontally toward the chest. There's a roundness to those arms. Right? Fingertips are not touching. My elbows aren't out, they're slightly down. So in these two exercises, these two stationary Tai Chi Qigong, some people will call them meditation postures or meditation exercises. I don't tend to. They are considered Weidong external elixir exercises, as opposed to Neidong internal elixir exercises. In external, you're building up the chi in body parts through specific positioning, muscle activation, that sort of thing. And the chi builds up in those body parts, and then when you release, it opens up and flows into the body. Sort of what I was referring to with the legs here. When you come up in the Tai Chi, basic Tai Chi Qigong stretch, the chi that is generated because of the active legs expands. And by the way, generally speaking, Tai Chi Qigong as an art is a blended approach with both Weidong and Neidong techniques. But these are weighted a little bit more Weidong-y than we normally do in the Tai Chi Qigong. Neidong, internal elixir, you're building up the chi in the Xia Dantian, in that actual esoteric vessel in the body, and sending it out, bringing it back in, opening up flow and balancing and breaking through stagnation and that sort of thing. So one is physical, one is through the mind. Physical, external, mental, mind, imagination is internal. The other thing, and different people have different definitions of water and fire. From a water tiger school perspective, Weidong is considered fire technique and Neidong is considered water technique. So there you go. So you can imagine, since we're going to be in one leg for a while, when you do that switch, that leg opens up. The arms do not change that position through the entire time that we are in it. So when they lower at the end, when we step out to shoulder width, the activation in the chest, shoulders, arms starts to spread. We'll hang out for a while here before we close at the end of arcing the arms. So again, it's recommended 3 minutes. We're going to go probably 3 minutes total, so about a minute and a half, just as an introduction to the first of our Weidong, standing still, Tai Chi Qigong exercises. By the way, what was I going to say? Oh, Tai Chi Qigong. So we've said this before as we've talked about Tai Chi Qigong in this environment, and of course in the room and on the mat, that some folks, including me in the very, very early days, some 30 years ago, thought Tai Chi Qigong was the Tai Chi version of energy work. So it's actually rooted in the art of Tai Chi Chuan. That is not the correct perception. This 3D is the Tai Chi symbol. The art is named for the symbol, not the symbol for the art. Both arts are named for the symbol, not the art, not the symbol for the arts. right? So Tai Chi is grand terminus, grand ultimate. It represents the flow, balance, and constant change of energy in the universe. Tai Chi Chuan, grand ultimate fist. It's a martial art based on Tai Chi theory. Tai Chi Qigong, grand ultimate energy work. It is energy work based on Tai Chi principles and theory. Tai Chi being the yin-yang, the balance and flow of energy in the universe, not Tai Chi being Tai Chi Chuan. So, there you go. Just have to remember to throw that out every once in a while. So, we're going to settle in. We're going to hang for, as I said, about a minute and a half. So, back foot at 45, other foot extended, knee slightly open. Crown point of the head, base of the pelvic bowl, ball of the foot, let the arms float up. And close your eyes if you want to. Tip of the tongue lightly touching the roof of the mouth, shoulders dropped and relaxed, sunken, elbows sunken. Just hang out and breathe. Sitting into the leg, into the earth. You can internalize an aspect of this with the internal breath, the image breath. So you have a little Neidan work while you're doing Weidan. In other words, imagining that expansion from the belly, the physical exhalation, the compression back to the belly, and the physical inhalation, representing grand circulation. And less than 30 seconds left in the first leg. Hips, shoulders parallel to the ground. Switching in 3, 2, 1. Do not drop the arms. Switching to the other leg. Going for 90 seconds here. If you have to close, do what I did, which is step out shoulder wide, float the hands down, reparallel the feet, and hang out for a little while and wait for the rest of us. Weighted foot somewhere around the 45. Felt shallow. I looked down, it is shallow. Breathing. Relaxing, releasing arms, very rounded here. About 15 seconds left. Embracing the moon on the chest, also known as arcing the arms. 3, 2, 1. Stepping that forward foot out to my shoulder width. Ball of the foot. Hands float down, setting the feet parallel, redistributing the weight. A moment. And close. Left foot to right, hands float up over the top of that beach ball filled with helium. Come in, palms down. There's a reason I point that out. Press the heel down. You divide the weight equally between the 2 feet. Bring the hands back to the belly. I knew when I pulled this t-shirt this morning, there was some little voice in the back of my mind going, you know, you really should choose another color. Now I know why. Oops. So there's the second of 3 exercises. The first was that full version of the Tai Chi Qigong stretch that includes the squat. This was arcing the arms or embracing the moon on the chest. Next is holding up the heavens. And I want to point something out, that when we do our Tai Chi Qigong breathing set, it's a standard for Water Tiger School. So if you've been on the mat or in the room, or remotely in some instances, in a Water Tiger School program, you've probably done this breathing set. The next to the last piece, no, not the next to the last piece. The fifth piece is called Living Buddha Holds Up the Heavens. You don't have to be Buddhist. You don't have to be a Buddha. That's the idea. That's the image that they chose to point out that you should be rooting deep into the earth as you would be if you were holding up the heavens and holding up the heavens. Now, traditionally, in that position, the eyes stay forward. You maintain your vertical alignment, crown point of the head, base of the pelvic bowl when the hands are up. And some people will do it, and the fingertips are actually pointing into the center line. We do it, and the fingertips are pointing back. But what we do is we create an arc in the torso as a non-traditional approach, or we give people that option, right? Not in all instances. Sometimes we just do the traditional approach, right? As we come up, we create this arc and look up between things. And where that is rooted is in this next exercise, holding up the heavens. Again, big warning, big caution, word of caution. This is a really strenuous position. So maybe watch it during the live session, and then maybe perhaps could be do it later. If you want to give it a shot, that's okay. But remember, once you get into the final position, don't just pop out of it if you feel you need to get out of it. When you're in that final position, and I'll get us all here. Oops. Boom. You want to sink down, come up, and go through the process. You don't want to be in that final position and then just stand up. That would be bad. Ow, already? Okay. So there's going to be a big arc in the back. You really want to imagine that you're holding up all of the heavens. Now, granted, the heavens themselves pretty light because there ain't any gravity out there. But also think of all the mass that's up there, because you want that physical activation in the muscle. Pressing upwards. Not going to hold this for very long. You know, some might say a minute is a good place to start. We probably won't be even going a minute. I'm not even going to bother timing. I'm just going to hang out for a few breaths to introduce you to this position and leave it at that. Probably more than a few breaths, but we'll see. Feet are shoulder width throughout. There's no time here where we come up and raise the heels, where the weight just goes to the balls of the feet. The pattern changes a little bit from our usual up over the top of the ball, because the hands, when they float, they actually turn palm in as they're coming up over the top of that roundness, and then palm down. And as they go down, we go down, and then they scoop up. But we stay down. It felt weird. So feet shoulder wide. If you're tight in the thighs, I'm a little tight in the thighs this morning. Should have stretched a little bit before 10 o'clock came up, but 10 o'clock came up pretty darn fast. And then I had the Facebook issues that I mentioned. So, shake stuff out, no expectation. Now, obviously here, here we had the single leg was active, and when it released, the energy released and expanded, and the arms were in this embracing position, this holding position. Here, they're going to be pressing up. The back's going to be arcing. But both legs are going to be taxed in this position. So there's a lot of activation that will release and be expanded when we come up out of holding up the heavens. Find an aspect of the breath, float the hands. Up, turning palms inward, in, palms inward, down, squatting, See how down, turning in, up, and arcing, up, breathing, releasing, and relaxing. Strengthening the ankles, the legs, lower back, the neck, the wrists, the forearms, holding up the heavens. About 2 more breaths. Sitting down, palms down, coming up, turning palms in, turning palms down, floating, breathing, relaxing. Wow. That was a rush. Left foot to right, over the top of the ball, in, pressing the heel down. Rebound. Relax. So, as they say for today's session, something completely different. Sort of, not too completely, but sort of different. A little Tai Chi Qigong that we don't normally do. Extended version of the basic Tai Chi Qigong stretch, which really is the true full Tai Chi Qigong stretch. And a little way on focused stationary Tai Chi Qigong. Arcing the arms, sorry, it's like, what was the first one? Arcing the arms and or embracing the moon to the chest, and a little holding up the heavens. So I hope you dug that. I had fun. It was neat. I don't present those very often. Could you tell? So, wow, I think I had like one person with us throughout the whole thing. That's okay. This will live on our Facebook page for the time being. I might take them down. You know, we might decide to clear them eventually. And all things being equal, eventually be uploaded to the Water Tiger School YouTube channel. The last one we uploaded a week ago was from the May 5th live session for West Babylon Public Library. Because early on in the pandemic, we were doing a live session every Monday at 10 a.m., every Tuesday at 10:15, because West Babylon also had a long-term Tai Chi class that was suspended because of the pandemic. However, they made the choice to go remote starting in June, so we pulled that live offering in lieu of, because we had a class. So there you go. I haven't looked at the Sachem website for a while. They have started doing some remote sessions. The last time I looked, it was self-help groups and cooking and workshops like that. No health. And were they to want to start doing exercise classes, they would actually have to follow the same reopening protocols from the state that I have to within the studio, that 4GK and Water Tiger School have to follow. And let me tell you, they are, I wouldn't go as far as saying onerous, but if that's the right word, but they're a lot of work, right? Oh, you're welcome, Linda. Hope you liked it. Well, you said thank you, so I guess. And anyway, so it's going to be a while. And, gird your loins, because there's always the chance that the exercise programs, all of them, not just the Tai Chi program, all of them won't see the light of day in the library either for a very long time, or might be something they choose not to do, given that the virus is still around. So anyway, there you go. Next week, something a little bit calmer, something maybe a little bit more familiar. We'll see. We got all sorts of different stuff in the queue. You might even look at a two-posture walking exercise that harkens back to what we did a few weeks ago with the kick walk exercise. We'll see. That one, I was reminded of that one yesterday, and I went, oh, we should put that in the queue for Water Tiger School. So thanks. Take care. Keep wearing your masks when you go out. You know, just put it on. Darn it. Maintaining social distance. I like physical distance more than social distance, but sometimes I let it slip. Either way. And you know, eventually, because everything changes, this will be different. So thanks. Take care. Stay safe. And we'll catch you next time. Well, you'll see me. I won't see you. Ta.